Okay, we're really close to noon. We're going to go a little bit over if that's okay. Is that all right with everyone? Okay, yes ma'am.
Okay, I want to thank you for so much of what you said. I teach high school art in a community that has 2 prisons. 20 miles south of Baltimore. 2 prisons.
2 prisons.
It
Okay.
has a, I think a state and a county and a state prison.
Where are you?
Coxsackie, New York. It's the home of Coxsackie violence. And what I find teaching, it is so difficult, and it is difficult among the teachers too. And as many of you know, the teachers, well, in New York State at least, and I think teachers all over the country are really oppressed. And people are starting to come out, left, right, middle, everybody's starting to realize that teachers are being slammed. Yes. But my point is, this community, the kids, the biggest jobs in this community are the corrections officers. Mm-hmm. And also, when I first started teaching there 13 years ago, it was maybe 3 or 4% people of color. It has moved up to about 14, 15% people of color. So we're starting to see, I'm starting to see as a teacher, you know, keeping your place. Make sure you keep your place to the kids that are in there. But my main point.
What did you mean by that? Keep your place.
Well, that, you know, like, if that they tend to be slammed more discipline-wise. If they're out in the hall making noise, and we have retired corrections officers as the hall monitors. We have police in this school district. I mean, there's 500 kids in the high school. It's a rural, very rural community. But one of my main points is that part of the whole thing, a lot of these people in this district are very, very poor. But they're very poor white. And they live on this, we're better. We're better just because we're white. And so we have to stop that so many of the people, they use that. They use that white to keep the people who are poor and are also being oppressed from fighting the system, because they might see, I mean, there's a teacher in this, and I won't talk much longer, but there was a teacher in the faculty room the other day, and we were talking about Ferguson. Actually, forgive me, I've forgotten his name. I can't breathe. And Eric Garner. And the woman said, but he was resisting arrest. And I said, did you watch the video? Did you even watch the video? And it's like these people, the whole community is under this whole, and I think my school district, I think the community is a little bit of a petri dish to work on how can we play with this. And I'm not being conspiratorial. I really honestly believe that after 13 years. So and I know of other communities where it's similar. So it's watching out where the white community is being trained to sustain this system, and is something else that I do think we have to watch for. So thank you.
Are there any other points? Ma'am, did you have your hand up, or?
Oh, no, I was just...
Okay.
I'll just make, if I have time, I'll make one small, short point. I think what I feel is that people need to start to really make the connections between the militarization of the police and the militarization abroad. And because I think we can talk and talk, but we have to have strategizing sessions. How are we going to address this? Because that's part of the empire building, but it affects so many people. It's killing human beings. It's not simply taking over territories. So I think the drones, as we pointed out, the drones are no different than these handguns and whatever that the police carry, and the pistols and now cluster bombs. It's all the same picture, in my view.
I just wanted to make a quick point, and it might seem really like trivial, but I feel like it's really important to watch the language that we use. And I think we need to stop referring to the 1% as rich, because it's fake, basically. We're measuring them according to man-made paper money, which I just see it as fake. And so if we refer to them as rich, I just think of it as fake. It's not real. They're not really wealthy. And I just believe in calling a spade, and we need to stop referring to them as rich and powerful, because I think they're anything but that.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Now, I do have an observation. This is my first time at this conference.
Yes.
And one of the first things that I noticed was that there is a lack of youth. And this is not a criticism, this is just an observation
It's a reality.
of someone just coming in and looking. And it's like, I want to kind of reiterate a point that the sister up here made in regards to what's happening now in our communities is nothing new. You know, it's nothing new. We just have had the luxury of having social media outlets and technology that has put these issues on Front Street. Yeah. But before there was social media and before there was technology, we were getting killed every day. Nameless individuals that we would never know. You know, we were being policed, you know, and watched and observed and harassed. You know, so none of this is new. I mean, you can look at public housing communities where there's cameras and you can't walk the streets, and young men are getting trespassing charges and being taken to jail and, you know, incarcerated and can't walk the streets and things of that nature. So none of this is new. But I guess my question leading into the observation is, how do we engage the youth? You know, and because they're involved. And like this sister up here mentioned, you know, it's like a pot on the stove that's on boil, and sooner or later it's gonna bubble over, and that's what we're seeing. So the youth are gonna get involved, and they are involved. They're the ones out in the streets. They're the ones protesting. They're the ones, you know, on Front Street. You know, so they are involved. But as far as this is concerned, I don't see it. Where are they? You know. And so,
well, how did you come to be here then?
I actually came with Phil Waleto. I'm from Richmond. I live in Richmond. I'm with the Nation of Gods and Earth in Richmond, Virginia. And I started working with Phil with the Shacklebottom issue and the stadium struggle, opposing the stadium building in Shacklebottom. And so the more I got involved with Phil and Anna and the defenders, the more I got involved in different things. I'm not that young. I may look young. I'm not that young, but I raised the question. I have 3 sons. I have 3 young black men who potentially are going to go out in this world and who are going to go out in this world and fight those same struggles and fight those same battles. And, you know, it's fine to all sit and talk, but that's an inherent fear of mine, that my sons will get shot down in the street. That's a reality.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make one observation about images and what you were saying about the luxury of the technology. And I'll make a comparison around Pakistan, Afghanistan, the war there. There are no images coming out of there. What we've just tried to do, a group of us, is to buy time on television in areas around drone bases, showing the images of children killed by drones. Now, we were able to do that in Las Vegas and Northern California. We're going to do around Syracuse. But in Syracuse, the cable provider does not want us to show the pictures of the children. Okay. My opinion is, as a person who has a background in journalism, is that the more images that come out, the more people will know. Now, I had an experience working in Mount Vernon, New York. That is a black-run community. we were trying to have television coverage of the city council meeting and other things that were going on in the community that were controversial. Within that community, it was very self-protective of people not wanting to air dirty laundry on television. Now, these are deep problems, but my view is, when you spoke about the technology and the luxury of it, that we do have that. And that may be a way, in a systematic way, that we can speak of these things, that will, and get younger people to speak of these things. That's a suggestion that I had, maybe coming out of the workshop and that thing you said about luxury, because it is a revolutionary thing when people in the whole community can know what's happening to certain people. So, yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say that it's not a luxury. It's actually become, it's a critically important tool. It didn't start, I believe, within the black community with Eric Garner or Trayvon or Ferguson. Let's go to Katrina. It's because Katrina was the first time since the 60s that the question of the relationship of black people to the state was exposed. When people saw, unadulterated, when people saw black bodies bloated in the street and people left in the convention center. And then after Katrina, there was the Jenna 6. And after the Jenna 6 came Trayvon, I believe it was Trayvon was next. 2012. And so there has been a building, and along with that, the development of the social media piece, so that it raises in my mind the thing of us developing further this use and coordinating better the alternative media, the social media. You know, how do we develop this and keep this out of the corporate hands? Yes. And then just last point, this question of solidarity between Muslims. Besides being Muslim, I'm going to break all of everybody's stereotypes. I'm a Muslim. I work on labor issues. I have a big mouth. Okay? I'm a member of the Black Left Unity Network. And I was almost thrown out of my union for fighting for democracy within my union. Okay? In fact, I'm always in the doghouse. Okay?
I know that feeling.
And it's a wonderful thing. Just lastly, this school to prison pipeline is what you are describing in your town. Okay? The use of the prison industrial complex, not only to oppress the youth and shuttle them into Coxsackie and Greenhaven and Dannemora, etc., 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 as well as to keep you and I